Okay, so the recording started. All right, so the first thing I want to do is take us to the e-classroom. Let me know if you guys can see this or if I need to make it larger. Let me make it a little bigger.
A little bigger, please, sir. Thanks.
Yep, I'm gonna try. All right, how's that? Good enough?
Um, yeah, well, yes. Thank you.
All right, no worries. I believe you should be able to zoom your screens a little bit if you have any additional issues. All right, so starting at the top of the e-classroom, this is what it looks like. You'd notice several resources there. These are all textbooks that you're going to utilize for the course. Hold on a second. Somebody is trying to get in. Admit Veronique. All right, so coming back here, these are the, I would advise you download these textbooks and put them into a file where you can access them because they're readings and such that come from each chapter or from various chapters that will help support the information that we have here. This course outline with the course calendar and assignment details, we'll be going through this in a lot of detail. So if you haven't already downloaded a copy, you should probably download one so that you could go through it alongside me. The link for our class meeting is located here. So once you click on this, it should take you to the class. And for those of you who have not yet joined the WhatsApp chat group, the link for that is also in the located.
Link
Yes.
in an email because I don't have e-classroom yet. I don't know why the problem in fix it.
What do you mean you're not? Who's this, by the way? I can't see your name.
Okay, Sally, I like to speak in here. No, I you know how it was giving trouble? They didn't fix mine yet, I guess. So I was asking if the link for the WhatsApp is in your email that you send us.
Yes, it is. What's your name again?
Okay. Alia Alexis.
Alia Alexis. All right. The email looks okay here. So did you get the email message?
Yeah, I get email. I just don't have e-classroom.
Well, you're enrolled in the class already, which is probably why I've never seen you come here yet. All right. Well, I guess they will. Have you contacted the help desk to get some assistance with getting you into the classroom?
Yeah, actually, your first message was the first email. Your first email was the first email I've ever gotten, and I was like, all right, yeah, let me see. Let me go into e-classroom and see, and I realized it wasn't working. So that same day, I sent an email, but nothing really happened after that.
Did you do the improved one? I think they have this one portal access for students because we have it here as lecturers as well. It did create some problems getting back on. But I mean, you have communicated with IT help desk about it.
Yeah, they asked me to describe what
issue.
I'm seeing, but what I'm seeing is that the password wrong, but it's the same password that the password saved now. It's the same password as always used. So yeah, and the
Well,
whole setup look different.
yeah, it is because the way in is not through that password anymore. You have to use the single portal password to get in.
Hi, don't mean to, but how they change up everything? You have to everything would be restarted. So the password that you may have saved automatically wouldn't be able to get you in because
Yeah.
now you have
I
to,
never changed it from what they gave me in the beginning. So unless I
yeah.
need to get
So now you have to type in a you have to have some questions, you have to have a backup email, your phone number and something else, an alternative factor. No, so it's some security stuff that they was doing. So that's why you'll probably get trouble to get in. So you have to set up that and also in order to get back into plenty of your stuff via Costat. So you have to probably
Yeah,
click
it
to get
actually
it
affects,
and
it affects your ability to log into
yeah.
self-service as well as the e-classroom. So
Yeah,
once
I
you've
can't
set
log
up
into
that,
anything. So I just had to press forget password and then do what all they're saying.
Yeah, and then they will restart the password.
yeah, then
Oh,
something,
okay.
try that and see, and then hopefully you'll get through. All right. Okay, so these are the textbooks as I was talking about. They are all just simply resources that you're utilizing. The second block is where we do assignment submission. So the top set here is for you to be able to do your Turnitin submissions to meet the requirements of the 15% similarity rating. All of you are familiar with that, right? I'm hoping.
Yes, sir. I'm familiar with it.
Yes, sir.
There are a couple of first year students, first year, first semester, second semester. You all understand about citation and you need to meet those requirements, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So these portals here, the Turnitin submission portals, are designed for you to assist you in terms of submitting your assignment. So if you click on this, it'll take you here and you'll, well, for me, it's downloading, but your papers will come in here. It will go through the comparative software and it will generate, all right, somebody else is trying to get back in. It will generate a report that indicates what percentage similarity it's found with your assignments. We want you to keep your similarity rating down to 15%. So there are two ways to do that. You either increase the amount of your own discussion or you reduce the amount of stuff that is, it says, or content that you have that it says is similar to something else. Now, there are caveats to that because of the way the assignments are set up, because of the way the assignments are set up, it sometimes tells you, look, the question itself is copied and all this kind of, so you'd have to deduct that percentage and then work it out. But I'll assist you all with that as we move forward. All right. Once we get it down to 15%, then you submit it into the final draft area here for your individual assignments, 1, 2, and so on. Okay, we have somebody else coming in. Hey. Ms. Stoddard, welcome. Aisha.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Ms. Stoddard. You missed the introduction, so you're going to have to catch up with us with that. What program are you doing, Ms. Stoddard?
Psychology.
Psychology. And how far into the program are you?
Well, just the associate I am doing that. Senior courses to finish.
Say that again. You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm doing the associate.
Uh-huh.
That's about 2 more.
All right. Have you had any previous exposure to economics before?
No.
All right.
No.
Okay, so this is the first time. Did you do like POB or POA?
I did POA, but that was in school years ago.
So you're doing the program part-time?
Yes.
So what field do you work in?
So, well, I not really working in no field at this point in time.
All right, so you're in between jobs at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what we're doing now, there's a recording going. We are looking at the e-classroom, which you got a link to come to the classroom already. Have you been able to come to the classroom and view things?
I went on, yes,
All right.
but I didn't get it. Yeah.
All right, good, no problem. Well, today is the first day really that they're expecting people to really start doing things. So as I said, these are textbooks up here. This is the course calendar. We'll be going into that in more detail. Your class meeting link is here as well. This is the link we'll be using unless I have to change it for whatever reason. This is a class WhatsApp chat group. I'd encourage you to join the chat group so that we could communicate faster, especially if something happens and you're on the road and that kind of stuff. You could always message in the chat and say, running late or can't make it today, whatever, that kind of stuff. All right. This is the assignment portal. So in this area here, this is where you do your comparative checks in terms of similarity ratings, and this is where you put in your final assignments drafts. Now we also have an individual assignment forum discussion for 5%. That starts now because the due date is April 6th. So we will see where this is related to another piece of work that's going on, and therefore we'll be utilizing this as some of the material. So what you do is you respond to these questions as you would like in your normal assignment with citation and that kind of stuff. You put it into a file and you upload it into your discussion topic. So if you click on this, you'd see the questions come back up again. So it just kind of repeats itself, and then you would submit. You give your submission a topic, date, subject, and then you either type a message in or you upload a file, but you'd still have to put in, like, this is my discussion for the thing. And then once you're finished with that, you are also supposed to then comment on the submissions of other people's submissions from in the forum discussion, because it's a discussion about it. We'll get into a lot more details about that in a little bit. So that is 5%. Because it's connected to the individual assignment, 15%, your individual assignment is 15%. So between the two, based upon the same stimulus type of material, it's 20% for the combination of the both. Assignment 2, we'll get into more details, and then the group project. Those are the primary things. Any of these session recordings that we do will start to be loaded below here. Where it says session recording. So like the recording for this session will come here. If we, as soon as we do another class, after that, if we record it, we'll put it here just to make sure. That then brings us into the units. So unit 1 is made up of a number of things. It gives you first the readings from the Sloman, which is the main text that I found that is the easiest one for you to utilize. I have a YouTube presentation that you can get to and view about the beginning of the program. All right. All right. So you could view that. It kind of goes through the content for this area here. I've also included a couple of YouTube links to give you some additional information, introduction to economics and what is economics. And each unit will have a quiz. So you click on this. When you go through all the material, then you'll go to the quiz. You click on it and the quiz. You'd see here all the information about the quiz. It's open already, and it will close on the 18th of June. You're allowed 3 attempts. And basically what you do is, if I preview the quiz, it's a timed quiz. You'd see the questions come up. There are 10 questions, and in a multiple choice format. So you go through the questions and you answer them. So how are goods produced? Let's say we decide, okay, this is C, check that, might be right, might be wrong. That's wrong. So then now once you check, if you check it, you realize you can't change your answer afterwards, right? But you can check it while you're moving through. Okay. And once you answer all the questions, then you finish your attempt, and that will then take you to the thing. Now, the reason why I'm giving you more than one opportunity is because I would like you to get the best possible marks that you can for each unit. All right. So once you go through the material, if you do the quiz and you don't get such a good mark, then it might mean that you need to review the material and come back, try it again. That makes sense? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And
okay.
may I just ask?
Yes.
No, you said 3 attempts. 3 attempts per quiz, right?
Yeah.
Per unit quiz.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
At least for this one. Every time you click on it, you will see the details. This one has 3 attempts as well. It's a 20-minute quiz. All right. So it will tell you. Sometimes I might give, if I find that one unit is giving a lot of trouble, I might give you more than 3 attempts. So that's the nature of how it works out. So once you go to the quiz, like, so for instance, measuring economic performance is a fairly big unit because it kind of it brings a lot of information together. So the first thing I start with is I have done a PowerPoint, and it doesn't have a narration, but it's a PowerPoint that you can go through and read what is going on and try to understand the work. It comes from the Sloman, from the information comes from here. So you can look at the PowerPoint. If you need further explanations, you could go to the chapters and the pages from the Sloman text, which you would get from up here, the Sloman 6th edition, and do some reading there. Sorry. There are also different links here for the different areas that I've also put in. These are YouTube videos that you can go to that fortunately it's to get these adverts. So once you just skip the adverts, you'll get. I like this guy a lot because he explains things in a nice, entertaining way, but also fairly clear, although he speaks a bit fast. So that's something that I found. So that I'm trying to give you different, right? So those are the kind of things that you're going to have. Short little videos that will try to explain the concepts for you alongside the readings and the presentations. And each unit will then end with a quiz, and that will then move you from one. So after we deal with measuring economic performance, we'll then look at demand and supply, which is one of the cornerstone activities or units of economics, because everything in economics is about demand and supply. So again, it starts with the same process. There's a PowerPoint presentation, there are readings, there are videos. Some I've left like this, so it looks a little more attractive. And then there's your quiz. Making sense in terms of how it looks?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay, so in all, I'll make this a bit smaller now to be able to show you. So you have a total number of 5, 6, 7. So you have 7 units that you're going through with varying quantities of information that you need to go through. Now, because this course is general economics, we've combined in this course significant parts of microeconomics and macroeconomics together. So for example, theory of the firm here, unit 3, you'll notice that there are 3 different presentations that I've put together. Production and cost, or what we tend to call cost and revenue. Market structures 1 and market structures 2, and then you have a couple videos going through that assist or will help to try and make things clear, and then you go through the quiz. Now this quiz, I've allowed three attempts at this as well. Generally, what I found was that like the earlier quizzes, you'll get good results in like 1 or 2 go tries, but the harder areas, that 3rd attempt is probably a good thing for you to have, for you to really kind of get it down and clear. So far, so good. Everybody understands what they're doing so far. Money and banking.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. International environments actually speaks to trade and globalization, integration, regional integration, the CSME and so on. And that kind of ends it off. So now we're going to move from here and we're going to go to bring up the the course schedule. Now, this is the course outline. Let me move it to the top so that you can see in terms of what this whole thing is about. All right. So all of the information here is relatively what is you're going to require. So included in this are all three of my emails. The last one is my personal email, and that's only if something goes wrong with the COSTAT platforms. We have a way of being able to submit stuff to me directly. If like the e-classroom goes down and all that kind of stuff, we still have, you know, something outside of COSTAT to deal with, right? My phone number is already here, but I've also provided that number for you on the e-classroom, on the emails that I've sent to you before. I don't have any appointed office hours because I'm primarily working from home. So all you need to do is to message me and I will work out some time frame to meet with you. That sounds feasible in case we need to have a little one-to-one sessions. All right.
Yes, sir.
Now, because we have a WhatsApp chat group, you can communicate with me at any point in time, either privately or within the group. So that what you can do is you could send me a message, but depending upon when you send the message, if I'm in another class or I'm in a meeting or I'm getting rest, you know, it'll give me some time to respond. Once I'll try to respond almost immediately. And don't be afraid, I will call you. If I find I'm just not in the mood to type a response, I might just single you out and call you and have a chat with you about what your issues are, what problems you're having. All right. Again, as far as possible, use your COSTAT student emails, please, when you're communicating. And of course, all your assignments are supposed to be submitted in the e-classroom in those areas that we talked about before. But it doesn't mean that we can't communicate outside of those forums. We can communicate all the time, depending upon it. All right, so the course activities and schedule. So basically what we're looking at here is that I don't expect that we're going to have online sessions like this every week. What I expect is that we will meet when necessary. So I've suggested a number of sessions for the semester. There are a couple of sessions we have to have, okay? So we will be doing certain sessions regardless of whether or not, but basically it'll always going to be how you're going, what's up, what's going on with this and that and so on, as we put our plans together for the rest of the semester moving forward. So you'd see, I've estimated that you should take about, so this week we're doing induction and introduction. So this is the online session that we have here. This is the 2nd of March. I expect that I don't necessarily need to meet with you about the first unit, but I'll check in with you on the following week. Making sense? On the 16th of March to see how you're all going. But during that week of the 9th of March, I expect that you would review the content and complete quiz 1. So the schedule is kind of giving you a time frame by which you should be completed with things moving forward. Now you could move faster if you want to. If you feel you're comfortable enough moving forward, fine, you could go ahead and move faster than what I'm suggesting. This is just giving you where you should be at any point in time. You should have completed X, Unit 1, Unit 4. So I've actually had so remember, we're not going to Unit 1, Unit 2. You went Unit 1, Unit 4, then back to 2, then 3, then 5, then 6, then 7. So those are the things that I'm talking about. Because some areas are a little more demanding than others, I've estimated that demand and supply should take you about 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to do. So I'm saying 6 hours for that area. So I'm not planning any sessions but at the end of March. We also have to take consideration, I'm not going to plan any sessions for the week of Easter, where there's Easter on the 7th to the Easter Monday is the 10th of April. So I want to meet with you all after Easter. So if you get time off, then it's a good idea to use some of that time to be able to to the thing. So basically what I'll do is I'll be messaging you and say, okay, we have a scheduled meeting for the 13th. How is everybody feeling? Do you want to meet, or do you want to just go to the classroom and work on things on your own, that kind of stuff. So again, it's an open discussion, because if you want, you could also message and say, I'll generally put into the WhatsApp chat, how you all feeling this week? Do you all want to have a meeting? And even if it's not one of the days that I suggested that we have an online session, we can have an online session if you need. So I want to be able to respond to you all as quickly as possible to provide support as you move through the content, because basically you're kind of on your own. But at the same time, I want to be able for you to reach out and ask questions to get clarification about certain things if you're having issues or problems. All right. So that's the purple dates here are what are the suggested meeting times. Now, the week 13, which is the 1st of June, I expect that we should be meeting to be able to review primarily your readiness for a group project presentation, which takes place on the 8th of June. All right, now that is a live class, and it's also a class in which you are going to be evaluated when you do your group presentation. So basically you have a group project, and you will be compiling research about a country. It's called a country analysis, and you will be presenting your findings from that research orally in a presentation utilizing this particular format. You'd use a PowerPoint or whatever to compile your stuff. All the members of the group should be available to be able to present their elements or a combination of the content that they researched, and basically put together a nice presentation about your research. And then you will be submitting on the 18th of June the write-up or the written project online in the e-classroom as well. At the 18th of June is the final date for quizzes to close, as well as for any outstanding assignments to be submitted, which would be, I am suggesting, for example, that your assignment, the forum discussion, should be completed by the 9th of April. Your first individual assignment, which is a research assignment, should be completed by the end of April 30th. Assignment 2, which is an article journal, you should submit that by the 14th of May. That then leaves you a couple of weeks to be able to finalize your work on your group presentation, for enough to be able to put together your group presentation for the 8th of June, and then you finalize your written work for submission no later than the 18th of June. Okay, now why am I asking for the 18th of June as your submission date? Because I have until July 2nd to submit all your grades online. So I need some time to sit and read all your submissions. All right, so all these dates in red here are deadline dates for the different requirements of the course so far. Everything looks logical, guys? Everything seems okay? Or did you want some other?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
I was agreeing. It seems all right, sir.
All right, anybody else has any opinion about what they're looking at so far? Feedback is usually useful. Okay, guys. All right, if there's nothing, let's go through the assignments now. So, all right, so there's this section on course policies. I should point out to you that when you are submitting your documents into the e-classrooms, you should follow a naming protocol to name your files, because I don't want to get things just called assignment 1 or assignment 2, that kind of stuff. It should have your name followed by the course code of the class, the day of the class. This one you could do without. You don't necessarily have to put the day, but you definitely have to put the CRN and the name of the assignment 1, version 1. Now, why have a version 1 and possibly a version 2 or so on? Because if you remember in the e-classroom here, when you put in your first submission into the Turnitin, you might end up with a percentage value that is higher than 15%. So that means you would have to take your assignment and the report that you got and kind of go and work it over and then submit a new version to it. The best way to do that is rename your document version 2, submit it there. So when you get to the point where you've finalized your document and you have it at the 15% required similarity rating, at that point in time, you submit it into the final drafts area, which is this thing here. It'll look different for you guys. So there are no submissions, but you'd see the deadline date is also set for this for the 18th. All right. So although I'm suggesting in the schedule that you should finish this, you should finish it by the 30th of April. I'm not going to say, well, if you missed that, you have you can't submit. It just means that as you submit late, you might get you might get penalized a bit for it. All right. The idea is to try to stay to the deadlines as much as you can. All right. So this is why your naming protocol for your files is going to be important. So this class is a Thursday. So your name is not Jane Doe, it might be whatever your name is. Like my name is Wayne Basu, Econ 110, Thursday, CRN 22298. This is the actual CRN assignment 1 version 1. As I said before, version 1, version 2 can be the iterations of your assignment as it morphs into what you do a final submission for. Remember that you want to set this up like a normal academic paper, so it needs to be formatted on the standard size letter size paper, 1-inch margins. Use a highly readable font like Arial times Roman numeral, and I would like you to use double spacing so that it is nice and clear and relatively easy for me to read, because I've been having I had to update my glasses and stuff because of having to spend so much time reading online. So if it's nice and clear like this, it makes it easy to read. That sounds useful. You should be familiar with this. In fact, all of this comes in from this resource here, All Purdue. It talks about how academic papers are usually formatted. Where there are multiple parts to your answers, start the new parts and new sections called setting up your pagination and page breaks so that you can have sections and page numbering and title pages and tables of contents. So, and a lot of times people lose marks when they don't utilize appropriate formatting for their documents. Try and don't let that be you. Another area that is required is the citation. So I am asking you all to utilize APA formats of citation. Everybody's familiar with that? APA?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so the vast majority of you all are from the the behavioral sciences department. So APA stands for the American Psychology Association, and this is the recommended methodology that is utilized for citing sources of information. If you want the updated format, you can go to this website here and get that as well. You can also learn how to use the referencing system on MS Word if you're using MS Word, because that actually makes it a lot easier. But it means you're going to have to put in a lot of information as you're dealing with it. Now, your assignments have to be submitted through Turnitin. And again, I said before, we're looking for a maximum of 15% similarity rating. Anything beyond that will not be acceptable. I'm not supposed to mark anybody's work if their similarity ratings are beyond 15%. But I will look at it with you, and because I will be able to view your submissions here as well. So if you're having a problem and it's too high, you could call me and we could go through it together. And that way we could say, okay, well, this could be done over, this is what you need to do, X, Y, Z, that kind of stuff. All right. So again, it's for me to be able to meet with you and have a discussion about what's going on as you go through the process of completing your assignments. All right, 75% attendance. Well, because it's the e-classroom, I'm calling a register. Every time we call a session, I'm going to take a register, so that this is the register here for now. There is a more formal document, but I'm going to take one like this, and it'll tell me who's here and how many people attended and so on. It also takes, like, for instance, we haven't seen this individual or this individual for the evening so far, but we've seen everybody else at least come in for a period of time. So generally, you want to try and maintain your attendance record. If you do have a problem, like for example, getting to class is a problem because of how early we start at 5 o'clock. Or speaking of which, how many of you all feel better? This is primarily for those who are working. Would be okay with us starting classes at 5:30 rather than at 5 o'clock.
That would be excellent, sir.
Yes, sir. That'll be good.
Mr. Ali?
Yes, sir, no problem.
Yeah, that'll be good. All right. So from next week, then we'll meet from 5:30, and again, we don't necessarily need to be using the entire 3-hour period. We'll use all the time we need necessarily to deal with the issues that are at hand and get things completed. So far, so good. Online situations, I don't necessarily need you to have your cameras on. And of course, we know about muted microphones because of ambient noise from your situation. The reason why I don't necessarily, I know some teachers require that you turn on your cameras regardless. I don't require that because I don't know what your circumstances are. And I'm not going to force anybody to turn on a camera if they don't want to or they don't feel comfortable doing it. All right. Okay, so makeup exams and rewrites, these are negotiable once there is credible evidence that there's a need for them, okay? As with anything, I would encourage you to do the readings and, engage with the material online so that you get an understanding of the material before you come to me with questions, because you can't ask me about something that you haven't read about and try to understand on your own, all right? So we can meet outside of class time as well, especially the full-time students who might have a little more time. I actually have time during the day as well, because the vast majority of my classes are at night, except on a Wednesday where I'm teaching all day long, back-to-back classes. Schedule those classes here somewhere. All right. So once you want to meet and have a chat, then just send me a WhatsApp message and I'll say, okay, well, we can meet. We can even call on WhatsApp and we can deal with it, or I can just set up a quick Google Meet and we can I can send you the link and we can meet and discuss things. All right. Okay, so that brings us to our online discussion. This is technically the first assignment. Now, basically, there are a couple of questions that we're saying that you're going to need to respond to utilizing the normal formatting for any assignment. And each part of the question should be no more than 300 words, sorry. Fully cited and so on, set up. Basically, what you're doing is that you're going to submit them into your online discussion, and where other students will be able to read it, and then they can comment on it and probably make suggestions for improvements or add to your discussion and kind of get an idea of whether or not you are on the right track, so to speak. All right. So the key thing is you need to respond to the questions and post them, and then post responses to other people's posts, at least 2 people. Okay, so these are the questions here. With the use of diagrams, differentiate between binding and non-binding price ceilings and floors. Well, between a binding and non-binding price ceiling and price floor. Is that a little expression-wise? It could be said a little differently. But basically what you're doing here is a fair amount of work. But the key thing here is that you need to use diagrams in your differentiation process of binding and non-binding ceilings and floors. All right. So obviously, this is part of another question that comes from your individual assignment. The reason why we thought that we'll have an online discussion about a few of the questions that tend to be more tricky for students or more difficult for students is that it gives you a chance to kind of precursor your discussion, and see whether or not it looks good and other people agree with what you think. I will also be commenting on the validity of your responses and giving you advice as well on the online discussion as well. So the other question is explain the long run average cost curve and how does it depict the concept of economies of scale. So it's a fairly costly, and with this, there can also be the use of a diagram to help you with representation of that. And then we have this final one here, explain the following terms: non-price competition, collusion, competitive oligopolies, and price leadership. These are different models from the area of market structures that will actually help you to kind of kickstart your learning in a lot of areas of the course. It's almost simultaneously. Primarily, these are all falling into the category of microeconomics, but they're key areas. So basically, this rubric here will tell you what we're looking for you to give us an excellent discussion. These are the qualities we're looking for here. So your marks for this area would be in the A, this would be in B, this would be a C, and anything below that will be, yeah, less than what is required. We know we want to get C's and better at least. In fact, I'm hoping everybody here gets A's. All right. All right. Do you have any questions about this so far? Not necessarily in terms of explaining what those things are, but in terms of the instructions so far.
So, excuse me, for the online discussion forum, for these questions that you are now speaking about, when is this due?
This is due. It's in red here, the 9th of April.
Okay, the 9th of April. I guess I missed it when you're scrolling down.
Right.
Okay, so the other,
but
sorry.
it's also on the, whoops, I should change this, but it's also here on the well, it says the 6th here, so, but we will work with the 9th, okay? I'll try and update that.
Okay, sir. And the other question I have, in terms of when we have to submit our assignments in Turnitin, if when I submit my assignment and the plagiarism is under 15%,
then
I can name the file. I can name it. I think what you're saying, version 1. I don't have to.
You don't have to do another version. If
okay,
you got
it, come down and final assignments and submit it there.
Yeah, and
okay.
I'm saying by April 30th, you should be finished with assignment 1.
Okay, so thank you.
Right, that makes sense. And as we move through all the other assignments, but let's have a look at assignment 1 and its relation to us this online discussion. So I'm saying the 9th of April. Did I have that on the schedule as well? Yep, the 9th. So how did I say the 6th on the online environment? I'll fix that. All right. That might have been what we call a Freudian slip. Would that be that's it there now? The 9th of April? All
yes,
right.
sir.
Okay, cool. So this is the individual assignment. Oh, sorry, this is the same online discussion. All right. Let's get to the individual assignment. Now it's not 20%, it's 15% because 5 was peeled out into that section there, and 15 was left with this one. So again, you have the same requirements for Turnitin and citation and formatting and so on. So those are the things. I'm suggesting that you should be done with this assignment by the 30th of April. Again, it is a guideline for you to follow to meet. Penalties after the 30th will be 1% deducted per day. But I'll be honest with you, I don't like to do this. If you call me and let me know you're having an issue, I can give you a little extension, but it's to your detriment to keep on holding back on submitting your stuff. Right? Because it's going to pile up with the other work that you have from all the other courses that you may be doing. All right. So again, the guidelines for you. I mean, I am trying to be my giving self, as some people did indicate. But at the same time, you punish yourself with that when you do it. All right. So these are the questions here. So question 1, part A, B, and C. So with the use of examples, explain the key differences between a tax and a subsidy. Question 2 here, or B, with the use of diagrams, differentiate between a binding and non-binding price ceiling and floor. So you see, this is the one that you would be pulling out to do in your discussion. So once you get it in the discussion and I say, hey, this is a good response, this could move forward X. So it means you don't have to do over this question that you did in the forum. You just take this from the forum discussion, slap it in here, you're good to go, basically. I make those kind of comments sometimes. This is an excellent thing, you're good to go. All right. List and explain 3 examples of mechanisms used by the government to intervene in markets. 6 marks, right? So obviously 2 marks apiece. So from this question, this one was taken and utilized in the forum discussion. Question 2, explain the long run average cost curve and how it depicts the concept of economies of scale. 10 marks. That of course is in your forum discussion. So again, once you do it there and I say this question is well done, or this question requires a little more research or a little more development in terms of the concepts, maybe you should use a diagram with it, so on. Then those are the kind of suggestions that I would give to you to help encourage you to deepen your understanding or indicate whether or not your understanding is sufficient for the level that we're looking at here. Then we go down to the other questions. What is meant by the term price discrimination in the monopoly market, and what conditions must be present for price discrimination to take place? So this is from the area of the course called market structures. So it's about monopoly market pricing. All right. This question here, please explain the following terms: non-price competition, collusion, competitive oligopolies, and price leadership. Is the same question. Did it include collusion? For what reason did that not be there? Oh yes, collusion is there. All right, so those questions is from the thing. So again, once you do it in the above, then you don't have to redo it to put it back here. All right. Now it may lead to, no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. All right. And then of course, explain the different ways in which economic growth and development can be measured. So this actually comes from unit 4, which you do next. It comes out of that area. Economic growth and development is generally measured by using GDP and national income measurements. All right. Any questions about this so far?
Yes, sir. With these questions, do we have to cite and do referencing?
Yes, all assignments require citation and referencing and all the things that we talked about. Page numbering, contents page, title page. Any assignment that you do requires the same treatment as you would for any academic paper. All right. So you're putting these questions together in the form of an academic paper. So basically, what you're doing is you're conducting your own research into these questions, and you're answering them to be able to indicate to me that you have understood what these concepts are. All right, that makes sense. So that the degree and the level of your explanation will indicate that level of understanding to me. Yes, question.
Okay, so then you're saying that when we answer the questions, it wouldn't be like how you have it in the format here, like number 1 with the use of examples. So would I be typing that and then underneath it I write the answer? Can I do it like that, or do I have to put it like in a research type of paper format?
No, you can copy this in and let it be the subtitle or the subsection heading for the response you have. That way I would know, okay, this is part A question or part 1A, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'll know these are the questions that you're responding to. Again, it's how you set up and most of your papers, I guess, or you could simply respond and put 1A and start to answer it because I would know what the question is, that kind of stuff. So whatever format, whatever format you choose to utilize, be consistent with the way in which you're doing it. So if you want to put the question in with your thing, that therefore will be what you would use to queue your contents page, because your table of contents would list the page, the question number that you're dealing with, and part.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And you section break between question 1 and question 2. So like when you get to the end of answering part 3 here, list and explain 3 mechanisms used by governments to intervene in markets. When you finish their page, break away from that and then start your answers for question 2. You understand?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. And then you have 4 parts for that question. All right. So anything else anybody wants to ask about?
Excuse me. While doing this, right, would you be open to submitting and feedback and return before the final deadline date, or will it just be one submission, 1 mark?
No. When you make your submissions, I'll show you where I usually get involved. You see, when you make your submissions into the Turnitin portals, I actually go in and look at your submissions there. And you can let me know, listen, I've submitted into the portal, the Turnitin portal. I could look at your documents and we could go through it. And I'll advise you from there in relation to what's going on. So yes, I am open to assisting you in getting the best mark for your, getting the best out of the assignment as possible. That makes sense? All right. And yes, you can get 100% on an assignment with me. Okay, just letting you know one thing. Once you meet all the requirements that I've laid out for the assignment, there's no need for you to be penalized for what? Not knowing as much as me. That makes no sense. All right. Although I know there's some people who do that. So the questions themselves amount to 60%, but we also have the other elements that we have to talk about. So this also here describes your requirements for understanding and so on, the rubric type thing. But this is the more complete individual assignment rubric. 60% here covers your work, the level of analysis that you've been able to put in. Organization and layout, 10%, that you meet all of the requirements of academic papers in the layout. So here we're talking about title pages, contents page, page numbers, section breaking, making sure your margins are all in where they're supposed to be. You have the correct line spacing, all the things that I talked about in terms of that. Use of language, I'm looking 15%. Use of language, I'm looking at you being able to minimize the amount. As I said, across the entire document, I'm only looking for 6 or less errors in terms of that. If you have more than that, then unfortunately some marks have to be taken out. That makes sense? And then of course citation. Again, the first requirement is that you, yes. Question. Hello? That's.
Oh, sorry, my mic came on by mistake.
Ooh, sounds like some serious issues there. All right, okay. So once you meet the 15% similarity rating, that's one of the elements, but you also have to utilize the correct methodology in doing citation, which involves in-text citation and the citation list or the reference list down to the end. That's the APA requirements. You're all familiar with that, right? Especially people who are doing psych, soc, and social work. You all do a lot of research papers, not so?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the same care that you take with it, that's also why at the top of the e-classroom, I've also submitted a few other textbooks for you to utilize for referencing as well. And of course, You can also use some of the same videos that we have out there. You should understand how to utilize techniques to cite from YouTube videos and such. Correct? Yeah, you're all familiar with that. And then of course other research points that you all normally utilize for finding information to respond to questions. All right, so this one is about your individual assignment. This next one here is the journal assignment, or assignment number 2. Is from an individual basis. It's for 20%. Now this one's a little more tricky because I'm going to ask you to look around the environment and see where the concepts of economics can be seen in the real world. So basically, what I'm asking you to do is to find an article that is no more than 6 months old, have it approved by me, and in that article, I want you to be able to analyze it and look at the economic concepts that are being discussed or affecting the country based on that. Again, the paper that you're putting together has to meet all the other academic requirements, the same citation requirements, the same formatting requirements. Now, the questions that we're asking, due date for this is the 14th of May. Again, you should see that on here, 14th of May, Articles Journal. So the questions that you're doing here, once you find the article and I approve it, you give me a summary of the article. That's what that 5 marks is for. You need to identify 2 economic concepts discussed in the class that are treated in the article. All right. Define each of these concepts and explain how they have been addressed in the article, and provide examples from the article that supports your explanation for the relationship between what is being discussed in the article and the economic concept that you're looking for. Then you want to look at discussing positive and negative effects of those things on you as an individual, or any individual for that matter. Positive and negative impacts on the households in Trinidad. Positive and negative effects that it will have on the entire country as a whole. All right. Then you need to entertain the question based upon the problem that you've identified or the issues that you've identified. Do you believe government intervention is necessary? And you need to provide reasons to support your response. All right. Describe one likely outcome if the government intervenes. All right. You don't have to identify how they intervene. That's why we have this notation. And please note you are not to identify the intervention strategies. We're just looking at what is likely to happen if a government intervenes in that particular problem. And then describe 3 measures here that you would recommend the government to implement to deal with it. So this is why we don't want repetition between this part of the question and this part here. The methods of intervention need to be discussed down here, but those methods of implementation, or those methods of intervention, the impact is what you're looking at up here. All right. Please note your article of choice must be approved by your lecturer. So how I deal with this is generally, you guys, as you go through your everyday reading and experiences and so on, you look at the newspapers, you're going to find things, and you send me a copy of it. When I say send me a copy, you either find an online article, and it doesn't have to be only local, as I said before, or as listed up here. It can be local, regional, or international. Once you can see it having an impact on us, on yourself here in Trinidad and Tobago, all right, or on our economy as well. And that's it. Now, generally, this one doesn't really have too much of an issue when it comes to the similarity rating, because a lot of this is a discussion from a very personal perspective. But again, we're not talking about just subjective responses. What I would like you to do is respond utilizing the tonality of economic objective analysis based on what you've understood. So for example, you might come across the issue of rising prices and inflation. So inflation is about that, is about prices rising in an economy, and that could be a concept that you could discuss in there. And inside there, you might find that there may be supply issues that are causing. So you have two concepts there already: the issue of inflation and the issue of supply constraints that are resulting or showing up in terms of causing the inflation. So, for example, to take the war in the Ukraine and Russia and the impact it's having on oil, that supply constraint that is taking place as a result of the war in Russia and the reduction in the amount of fuel being provided because of the closure of the pipeline, what that is causing is upward price pressure. So you see, we're discussing something with supply, and the impact of that supply suppression or falling levels of supply of oil and gas causing inflationary pressure in other countries around the world because of what is happening. Most of economics, if not everything in economics, is cause and effect and comes from an issue with demand and supply. So our demand hasn't changed for gas and oil and gas, but what has happened is because supply is being constrained by an event outside our control, it is causing inflationary pressure in economies outside of the European basin. That makes sense, guys?
Yes,
When's the
sir.
last time you all look at the local papers?
Ages. It's been ages.
So now you need to, and this is part of the outcome of this course. One of the things we're trying to get you all to do is to look around you and see economics in action around you. All right. In fact, we recently had a budget read in Trinidad and Tobago, not so? September gone?
Oh, yes, sir, yes.
Right. Lots of things happen there because that speaks to government and what governments do in terms of like a subsidy. We call it subventions here. A government subsidy. One of the big things that happened in Trinidad in September gone was a further reduction in fuel subsidies in Trinidad. You all remember that? And that caused oil prices to fall, not oil prices, fuel prices to rise at the pump. That had a knock
Yes.
effect on
Can't forget
inflation.
that, sir.
Right, but you see, that's too old. It's past 6 months now. So you have to look at other things that might be happening in our economy now that is either a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't always have to be negative, right? All right, so it could be some good things that are happening as well. And maybe government increasing the amount of spending they're doing in certain areas. In fact, in social work, a lot of money has been released in social programs, and that's something you all could investigate and look at the economics of that whole issue of increasing levels of social spending. So something that you could look at as well. All right, just a suggestion as to an article that you can look at. So far, everybody's okay with this? Looks like an interesting thing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So again, so one of the things that you should be doing is looking for articles on a regular basis. One of the things I always say, because one person finds an article, it doesn't mean everybody can't, more than one person can't use it. Because sometimes what I do, if I find an article, because I get the newspapers online sometimes, I might find an article and say, hey, this is interesting. I will post it into the WhatsApp chat and say, hey, this is a nice article for people to maybe generate a journal discussion out of it, or for your journal assignment. So I'll also be looking and seeing what's coming up. Just have to make sure that it is a recent article, no more than 6 months old. All right. So these are the questions that we talked about, and there's a rubric here as to how you go about your discussion in terms of marking. All right. Hopefully it gives you a clear idea of what is required. Okay. Again, it's 60% for the content, 15% for your layout and organization, 10% use of language, 15% for citation. All right. So far, so good. Everybody's okay with this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. And now we get to the one that everybody hates. This is another rubric here that this kind of tries to make it a little clearer for you. All right. So we've talked about quizzes already. We know we have 7 unit quizzes. All right, and I'll be taking your total is weighted as 30% of your final score. So once you've completed all 7 quizzes, the total is going to be marked out as 70%, and you get your percentage value from that. It's relatively straightforward. All the quizzes are open already, and they all close at the 18th of June. So it gives you more than one chance to be able, and as I said, you have at least 2 attempts for each quiz. As you have already seen, you have up to 3. So that means if you, if you tried a quiz, didn't quite get it, review the content before you use up all your attempts and that type of stuff. But don't let the 18th come and then, or the week of the 18th come and you're rushing on to do quizzes. Make sure you spend some time going through the material and going through your quizzes, all right? And I can't say much more about that, actually. So this is where we come to the group project. So the group project really is based upon the concept of creating groups to analyze countries from an economic perspective. And these, again, it's like any group project, you have a written element and an oral presentation element. The written element is weighted at 20%. The presentation is weighted at 10%. You're going to do your presentation before you submit your written group project. Why? Because if something goes wrong, I will see it in your presentation, and it'll give you an opportunity to make corrections from the presentation to the written output. That makes sense? Guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, if you look into the e-classroom here, you'd notice that the due dates are both the 18th of June. Now, the reason for that is because I don't want you submitting your stuff until we have had time to look at it together. All right. But again, I want to be able to see what you've done in terms of your research, especially in your presentation documents. So the project assignment, the written paper, you of course need to get a 15% similarity rating. So that, again, this is not where you submit your assignments. This is just where you check your similarity. Your final documents come in these areas here. Now, again, I will tell you, when we do the presentations, you're not, even at that time, you don't submit. You don't submit your. I don't have the date here, right? The group presentation is the 8th of June. All right. You're still not submitting by the 8th of June. I want you all to submit after your presentations, because I would like to. What happens is, as soon as you finish your presentations, well, when all presentations finish, I speak to each group and I give feedback and your scores. Okay. So if there are things to be fixed, I will talk to you about it then, and I would expect that the fixing will take place both for the PowerPoint presentation that you pull together, and I should see that reflected in the written project. Because the way you generate a group project is you write the group project and then you extract your presentation from it. Ideally, that's how it's supposed to go, right? We know sometimes it doesn't quite work that way, but we're going to hopefully look for that to be the way in which we're doing it. Now, let's go back in here now. So again, all the same academic paper requirements in terms of you approached it. This one has 500 words per part in terms of maximum wordage. I'll let you know a little bit about that. Of course, the Turnitin similarity thing and your citation requirements are the same as before. It's an interesting link here, how to use the MS Word referencing system. It's a YouTube video you could go to and look for that and try to use it. So these are the questions that are asked here for you to evaluate. So what type of economic system does this country have? Explain two benefits and two drawbacks. What is the dominant type of market structure that exists in the economy? Provide examples from the country. What is the dominant types of firms that exist in that economy? Providing examples. Describe three functions of government in that country and provide examples. Collect 5 years of data on inflation, unemployment, national income for this country and analyze the data with respect to the trends. Data can be accessed from the World Developmental Indicators or the World Bank website, which is where that comes from, 20 marks. Collect five years of data from imports and exports and analyze the data with respect to the trends. Is this country experiencing trade surpluses or deficits? So you just have to answer that question. Describe 4 trade restrictions that exist in this country. And it has to be specific. These are the categories they fall into, and you would have to identify specific tariffs, quotas, embargoes, or import duties that they utilize. Describe the type of exchange rate system that is utilized by the country, that is how they manage their money. And discuss one impact that that exchange rate system has on imports and on exports for that country. And we've added this one here, right? Discuss 2 positive and 2 negative impacts of globalization on the country being discussed. You also have to do an introduction and conclusion, and the introduction should include an overview of the country being discussed. We should explain the demographics of the country, size, location, food, culture, holidays, language, type of government system, all those kind of things could make up your introduction. Encourage you to use pictures and diagrams, well, pictures, a lot of pictures, because that helps to make your presentation look a lot more pleasing visually. And of course, you create your slides with just the necessary information that you want to do. We'll talk about that in more detail later on. All right, so the written project is marked 60% for the content, 20% for your organization, 10% language, 10% citation. The presentation is marked utilizing, again, 60% for content, 25% on presentation skills, and 15% on citation. Again, with that 15% similarity ratio being the key thing that we're looking at. And that's primarily it. I expect that everybody from the assigned groups will contribute to the completion of the project. If the group is having problems, then we will use a peer evaluation assessment technique. Now, the reason why I don't like to use this is because if we have to use this, everybody gets punished, even the person who did the work. And that's why I don't like using this peer evaluation system. Have you all used peer evaluation before? Anybody? For group work?
No.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
sir.
I've been
Yes, sir.
since
Okay.
2006, yes.
Wait. Did you do that with me?
No, sir.
Somebody else? Okay. Now, I found it's a very punitive method of ensuring that people work well in groups. I provide a different approach. I think I will be constantly inquiring about groups. Every time we meet from henceforward, because today we're going to set up groups, I will be asking, how is the group work going? Who's making contributions? Is anybody causing problems? Do we need to have a private chat as a group? Because I'm doing that, I expect that I should not be hearing about things a week or the day before the presentation is due, everything should be running smoothly. Yes? Would you agree with that? If we have to do the peer evaluation, it means everybody's going to get punished, because the way the peer evaluation works is this is the document you're going to utilize. Everybody's going to be scored out of 100. Everybody's going to have to complete this, scoring everybody else. You don't score yourself. That's not a good idea. So 0 for absolutely disagree with the statement, to 4 where that's why everything's out of 100. So you put the person's name in, you start to score them, and at the end here, based upon the averages I get from everybody else, everybody will get a percentage of the final grade. Now, why is this unfair? Because let's say you got 100%, but you all had problems, all right? That means if based upon the peer evaluation scores, you got 85%, then all you can get is 85. That's a B plus. If you got 70 in your peer evaluation score, so it meant that you could have gotten 100%, but because of the peer evaluation score, you got punished for whatever reason, all right? And you ended up with 70% or 60% or maybe just 90% when you could have gotten 100. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not willing to give somebody 0 if they do nonsense. Huh? I'm telling you that one time. So, but it means that we have to be constantly talking to each other about what's happening with the group project. Is everybody, I'll ask the question, is everybody contributing to the work? Are there anybody, do you want to talk to me about an issue you're having and we can have a private discussion about it? Every class, I'll be asking that. So it's up to you, and it's not up to you. I encourage you to contact me, message me privately if you want. We have a problem, we have to talk to this person, and I will do it. Okay? Any questions about this, guys? This group project thing? These are the rubrics that we utilize. This is the presentation rubric, and this is the written project rubric that we utilize. I utilize to mark the assignments. All right. Questions? We stop sharing there for a bit.
So when will the groups be formed?
No. But the way in which we'll do it, let me show you how we're going to do it. We're going to do it using, we're going to do it in here. All right. Where do I find it? Always have problems finding this. That's not it. Kidding, somebody coming back in? It's usually right here. Here it is. All right, got confused. All right, so we want to set up. So ideally we have 25 people in class. We have two people who didn't make it in, but they may be here coming in later on. So what we want to do is make 5 groups, 5 people each. Would that be useful?
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for now, I'm just going to call it group 1. And we'll have to create some other groups. Takes a little while. All right. So the first thing I'd like to do is, oops, person just left off there. The first thing I'd like to do with this is actually to take anybody who has previous group experience, previous experience with economics, and add them to a group by themselves, so to speak. So by a show of hands, anybody who had previous experience with economics, can you identify yourselves, please? All right, hold on, Natalie. So
Excuse sir.
yes,
I'm seeing my brother's name on your student list as well.
your
But
brother's name?
Arvind Adia,
Yes.
he's not supposed to be in this class. He's finished with his degree.
Well, he's registered for my class. See this here?
Oh, I think I know what happened.
Well, tell him find his tail in class or drop the class.
No. We share a laptop, so his stuff was logged in on mine. I think I accidentally registered from his account.
Oh, so you registered him for the class?
I didn't mean to, but
Get him out,
yeah.
please, because he will get an F on his transcript and he will not
Okay.
like you for it.
Can you
It's like the
please
thing you saw
remove him
that?
from the class?
Drop him from the class because who knows, we might actually have somebody else waiting to take the
Okay,
place.
I'll drop him.
Yeah, try and do that now, please. All right, so the first person who identified themselves was Miss Natalie Charles. God, this is. Leave your hands up, guys. Here we go. So Natalie, I'm gonna add you to group 1. We go to group 2 and put in Simran. All right, back to group. And Pedro, group 3. Hold on. All right, Pedro, and there. Okay. Anybody else feels like they have enough past? Yeah, a few of you all had. You did econ at Cape, or you did it at CSEC. Come on, don't play chicken. No. I'm looking for hands to go up. I have 3 people. There must have been more. I do remember some people. Mr. Stoddard, you said you didn't have any background in economics, right?
No.
All right. Who said they had some? Come on, guys. Bunch of chickens. All right. Who else feels? All right. So I guess we'll have to run it from there. Okay, so so the girl who inadvertently put her brother in class, I'm going to add her as the lead in group 4 for punishment.
That's messed up. That's really messed up.
That's not messed up. That is your fault. And let's
It
find.
was a mistake. Human error.
Yeah. I was going to call him to tell him he was in class. Huh? Who else should I? Who do I think I should? Who wants to volunteer? Mr. Ali. I'm putting you to head up group 5. Okay. So, Mr. Ali, no response?
No, sir. That'll be a very, very unwise choice. Trust me, sir.
Why is that unwise, sir?
So I haven't the slightest idea of what economics is.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it's the head of group on an economics final project. It's not good. It's worse.
Wait. So, are you taking these names to put them as group leaders? Because I don't really want to be a group leader.
Too late.
Oh my gosh.
No, sir. That is totally irresponsible, with all due respect.
Right. Okay. So how do we select leaders in life?
I don't want to be a leader either.
You don't have to be the leader. I'm just trying to set up a way to assign you all into groups. All right. All right. So let's try another way. Now the problem is everybody here, or the vast majority of people, are doing some form of behavioral science, primarily psych, social, or social work. So I can't say let's group according to majors because everybody's doing the same major. So how else can we do a grouping, guys?
So do you want to put the final year students in one group? Huh?
Nah, I want the experienced people to be able to share them around a little bit. Because
so just put us in a basket to the old fashioned way and pull it out.
Well, there is
randomly select
a virtual way to do that.
There is a way I can auto create groups, and it'll just all right. Let's try it that way, and you'll see how that works out. All right.
Tell me when, so I'll pray before.
Number of groups. All right. So group member count 5. Group naming scheme. Oh man, who's that? Wrong way. Welcome back, Ms. Greenland. We're just about to keep on losing folks. Welcome back, Keanu. Oh, I think it's Bell. All right. All right. Okay, I see what it says. Let's call this group A. All right, let's preview that. All right. Oh, here we go. So group AA, Jasmine, Amrit, Ali, Aisha, Stoddard, Miss Greenland, Natalie Charles, Faith Donovan. Group BA, Kanu, Sankara, Aliyah, Adia. You see now the problem here, Aliyah, is your brother is now in group E.
He just dropped it, so what should be?
Did he just drop the class?
Yeah, he just dropped it.
All right, let me just refresh this page then. All righty then. So what I'll do is I will unenroll him.
Cool.
Before I get. Did he give you a well-deserved buffing?
No. He was just like, tell the teacher sorry for the inconvenience. So sorry for the inconvenience.
Right. So he's removed. So he was removed from class. No user selected. Okay. For crying out loud. Right, wonderful. Okay, that means if we go back to groups now, we should be able to oops. All right. Yes, I do. Crap. Do you remember where I saw that thing? Hold on, let me come back in. It's supposed to be frustrating for you all to see this going on. All right. It's supposed to be under participant. All right. 24 groups. There we go. All right, so we had to delete these here. All right, so group A is made up of Kasim Ali, Greenland, Rampasad, Sohan, and Veronique Alexander. Jasmine, Amrit, Natalie Charles, Michaela Cunningham, Kanu, Sankara, and Kiona Thomas makes up group B. Aliyah. All right, so what I think we need to do is take a note of this because we'd have to put this into the chat. So people will know who they are. kind of thing. All right, so can I get these from here, boy? Rats. All right, in the meantime, you guys could start thinking about what countries you would like to um, conduct some form of analysis from, or about, I should say.
Question, sir. Does it have to be a country other than Trinidad and Tobago, or can we
Yes.
choose?
No, you can't choose Trinidad. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Why do you think that that's the case?
What do you mean, sir? Why you would suggest that we choose something other than Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah. Why do you think I'm saying that you can't choose Trinidad?
It will be too close to home. I mean,
Unfair
it
advantage.
will just look at another country.
Correct. Yes. I would suggest you try to look at a country that you want to learn something about. Something that will be of interest for you to look at, but you want to also want to ensure that the country that you're looking at has
Public
is
information.
has information, you can find information easily, and that the information that you find is reliable. Okay. Just maybe you'll find about, plus we don't want duplication, so we want every group to end up researching researching different countries, so we don't get duplication. Right, so this girl, Diamond, didn't come out to class, so we have to be careful with this OIRE glory. And of course, we have one group that will have 4 in it. right. So we do have a situation with Group E having only 4. As the classes open back up, and we still have registration there, we have room for 1 more, so that can happen later on as well. You can have an additional person, so that they will automatically be assigned into Group 4 or Group E. Okay, so let me put these groupings on the. Everybody here has joined the WhatsApp chat.
Not yet.
I would advise, if you can, see if you get into the chat, please. I'm going to post these to the chat group so that you all could start to be able to develop contact with each other. This is it. No, you all are this one. So this is the first group. This is Group A. That way you'll be able to know each other and thereby open up some communication with each other. Or set up some subgroupings so that you all could start discussing things. All right, so those are the 5 groups that we have so far, and the names are there for you to. Now we do have, well, this gentleman is no longer here, so we don't have to worry about him per se. But we do have to worry about the possibility of somebody else coming into class. All right, okay, so this girl here is the only person who didn't come in. Her number is telling me that she is likely to be a second-year student. All right. All right. So any questions on the groupings? So right now what happens is that if we go, when you go to the participants on the thing, I will see each group. Now what I would like to do is change the group names later on to represent the countries that are that you have taken up. So instead of just being Group A, you'll be, let's say, Group whatever, Australia or something along those lines, right? So right now you identify by groups. Now it also means that when you submit a group activity, because you're in the same group, it's going to automatically in the classroom. Once here, for example, when you submit a group project, it's going to submit it for everybody simultaneously. Well, not actually here, but in this group project area here. So all we need is really 1 person from the group to submit in the final area. So you be wary of that, because once any individual from one group submits, it will submit in everybody's spot as well. Okay, because this is a group-based evaluation. All right, so far everybody's okay? You're aware of which groups you're in?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Who has to yet join that WhatsApp chat group? Because when you join late, you're not going to see all those lists, huh? By the way. Everybody's gotten in so far?
Yes, sir.
Fine, just now.
All right. Okay, so one of the things you're going to have to pay attention to, guys, is the person who was absent today. We're going to have to see them coming in because from looking at what's going on from my end here, that person has not, I don't think she's logged into the e-classroom yet. Oh no, she did actually. So I wonder why she didn't make it into class. She was here 1 day and 21 hours ago, almost 2 days now. All right. All right, that's been a lot. How are you all? So next week we know I want to meet with you all next week. I was just to make sure that things are okay. There wouldn't be a long session like this. It'll just be a check-in session to see how you all are going, if you're having any issues, and also to kind of follow up if any stragglers come in, especially if you have a new student who's added to the class list. Based upon the fact that it's open and our drop is still open, we could still get a new student coming in. But also want to follow up, especially with that group that is that has the person in it who didn't show up for class this semester, so far for this semester. We'll have to kind of pay attention to her a little bit, just to make sure that it doesn't become a problem moving forward. All right. Everybody is feeling comfortable. They think they know how they're proceeding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everybody feels.
Yes.
All right. Can I shut down the recording now? I think we have enough material for the thing. Let me leave it until we shut down classes. So everybody's feeling they know what they're doing, how they're proceeding, what we're supposed to be doing, and that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So one of the things I want you all to do is to spend some time and go through the material. And next week when we meet, if you have anything that you want to ask about, get clarification about, bring your questions and come. Jot them down if you need to, because you might forget things. I expect that during this week, if you're having an issue immediately, I will try to reach out and contact that student that didn't make it to class today. I'll try and reach out to her and see what might be the issue and whether or not I can meet with her privately and kind of bring her abreast. But the video here will help with her get caught up with things. But next week, what I'm hoping to do is just check in with you guys, make sure that you all are okay and you're proceeding well. You're not having any sort of big major issues and that type of stuff. So I hope that'll be useful for you, because I know I can't keep you here and you have to interact with the material. So you need to have free time to be able to do that. I don't need to be monopolizing your time, whereas you should be able to deal with the content that is in the e-classroom. So technically the class is asynchronous, but I want to have a couple of synchronous sessions with you just to check in, maybe look at some content with you and find out how things are going. We good? Everybody's okay with that generally?
Yes, sir.
All right. And again, if you're in the WhatsApp chat group, you should be able to contact me if you're having any kind of issues. That should help you in terms of moving forward with things. All right. So if there are no questions, no further questions, I would say that's it for the evening.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
All right, good night. I'm going to stop the recording while you guys are stepping out.